So it says Brielle Edborg, singer, songwriter, violinist, writer, law student. Does that capture it?
Pretty much, yeah.
So we know you've just finished a 1 year at Pepperdine.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So give me a kind of a 5-minute bio of you to get to this point today.
Oh, well, I did music for quite a few years right out of high school. Moved to New York City, and I had a couple songs chart on the top 10 of the hot single sales of Billboard, and traveled a lot and performed a lot. Basically, all of my experiences I did some modeling as well and some acting, and all of my experiences with the music industry, the acting, fashion, modeling industry, all of that inspired me to go into the law side. So I had to get my undergraduate degree. I went back to school and finished that. I did that in 2 years, and then went off to law school at Pepperdine.
So as you started down a path of Jamestown High School, class of 2013,
13.
and then what inspired you to sort of launch onto a unique career of New York City?
Well, I always knew that I wanted to go to New York ever since the first time I visited. I think I was 7. And I always wanted to, when I was little, I said I wanted to be on Broadway, or I wanted to be in the New York City Ballet. I always wanted to do something with theater, music, dancing, acting, something. And as I got older, I stopped dancing because I had too many injuries, and I started writing music, and I loved it, and I wanted to sing, and I started recording myself on GarageBand on my mom's computer. And then my dad took me to Joseph Glarner's studio in Frewsburg to record a demo, and then we ended up in Buffalo at GCR Studios, which is Robbie Takic of the Goo Goo Dolls Studios, and there we somehow met.
The Robbie Takic of Goo Goo Dolls?
Yes, of the Goo Goo Dolls, and we met Billy Evans of Phillips Lytle, or formerly, I don't know if I'm not sure what he's still doing now, but, and he introduced us to some people in New York City to work with, so we started traveling out there. At some points I was in high school and doing track, and on week nights or Friday night, I would drive to New York City, and I'd drive back Sunday morning, or sometimes it was 2-3 times a week, just to record and take vocal lessons. And I just one day didn't come back.
So as a skill set, I mean, you had a chance to not only do some singing, to have some successes, certainly, to even do some acting. You're in a couple of films.
Yeah.
And so what are the things you extract from those experiences that you might see applicable in the law world?
I think most of it is how to handle myself and handle various types of people in different situations. A major theme of what I noticed with myself and with others is that there are a billion stories of people that came before you and what they did, but there's no playbook, and everybody thinks they know what to do. Everyone thinks that they can spot talent, or that they know the best way to break someone or whatever, regardless of the type of talent, and nobody knows. And that's the thing. Everyone talks the talk. Nobody can walk the walk. Even those that are incredibly successful, there is a huge chunk of chance that happened. And I think my biggest takeaway is learning how to navigate the uncertainty and the chance taking, I guess. In a way, there's a lot of delusion involved in in the entertainment industry, and that is encouraged in the past because it makes people money, and there's a lot of like suckers, quote unquote. And I mean, I think the world is changing in many ways that are very, very obvious, and the entertainment industry is included in that. And I think a lot of the delusion is breaking down, which is a good thing, and I want to be a part of that. So,
as it's breaking down, are you able to write a playbook of your experiences? And if somebody age 17, 18, who's coming out of a high school and has a dream, that you would hand to them? Possibly,
but that's the whole thing, is I can share my experiences, what worked for me, what didn't, but that's just me, and I think the biggest thing is for people to learn how to listen to their gut and their intuition, which as a society, at least when I grew up, that's not really taught in society of how to do that. And I feel like there's a belief of either you have it or you don't. You have a good instinct, have a good gut instinct, or you don't. And I think everyone does. I think we just need to learn how to trust that and listen to that. And that's what I would put in my playbook, is somehow how to learn how to tap into that, because there's no one way or one story for anybody.
Was there an aha moment where you thought, law school might be the next logical step for Brielle Edborg?
Yeah. Aha moment is putting it very positively, I think. Like, being completely honest, it took I would say a rock bottom moment, where I didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like what I was doing. And I didn't like that people only expected a certain thing. And I just decided that if I could help change that, then that would be a much better use of time and stress. So
therefore you finished your schooling, you did your LSATs, and why Pepperdine?
I had never heard of it. I knew I wanted to do entertainment law, so I just started Googling the best schools for music and entertainment law, and Pepperdine was on the top of that list. So I applied, and here I am.
You finished your first year of law school, and then through COVID and all the pandemic issues, that what you had planned to do in California changed.
Yes.
And here you ended up back in your native Jamestown for the summer. Then what were your plans? When you came back, did you have any idea that, here, oh my gosh, I'm coming back, I'm going to live with mom and dad? Now what?
No, I when COVID happened, I took it seriously, but I thought it would disappear in 3 weeks. So I had a phone conversation with my mom and my dad, and my brother was visiting me in LA at the time. And so we were talking, and they thought it would be best, possibly, for us to just come home, and I agreed. So I came home. I didn't pack much. I had to move out of my apartment in like 3 days. So half of my stuff is in boxes at my friend's place. Half of my stuff is in boxes at my aunt and uncle's place. I packed a suitcase for whatever weather was gonna be for like March, April. And that's all I came back with. And then I haven't gone back yet, and it is now the end of June. But it just, COVID ended up being a way more serious thing than anybody thought, I think. And internships got canceled, everything got canceled. And so I reached out to you, and you made up an amazing internship with the Robert H. Jackson Center that I'm so grateful for. So.
Well, what did we make up that you're coming to the end? This is your next penultimate day today.
Yes.
So what have you been doing?
So I've been basically cataloging everything the Jackson Center has done from right before its culmination, everything that led up to the beginning of the Jackson Center and every single event that has happened since, and putting it in an easy to use, easy to find document with all of the YouTube links and the information and bios, and also creating subsequent documents of the different categories of events that have happened.
So you've had a chance to pull back the curtain of the Jackson Center, which is working its way towards its 20th anniversary. Did you get a sense of what it's about?
Absolutely. So Robert H. Jackson, Justice of the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice of the Nuremberg trials, was so patient and balanced. His mind was so balanced and centered, and was so focused on genuine justice and not bringing politics into his decisions, which is hard to find today, I think, truly. And the Jackson Center not only commemorates everything that he's ever done and everything that he's been involved with, every case, everybody that was involved in all of the cases, and huge part with World War II, but it also represents in what he stood for and what that could look like today and going forward.
You've had the first project you did here was working with the International Humanitarian Law Dialogues, and its 12, 13-year history. You had a chance to talk with the founder of that series, David Crane. What was your takeaway from your conversation with Dave and what you did?
The International Humanitarian Law Dialogues is so huge. I had never heard of it. And as you and Mr. Crane told me, all of the prosecutors that have been, whether Nuremberg trials or the Tribunal for Sierra Leone or the former Yugoslavia, or the International Criminal Court today, they've never been able to sit down together and have a drink or a cup of coffee or share a story. They have always showed up at the trials, done their thing, and left. And he had all of the contacts to get all of the current and former prosecutors, and you had the drive and the ingenuity to get them all together and bring everyone together for a couple days just to talk and to share experiences and stories, and it wasn't planned that you would create a Chautauqua Declaration, but of course that was just inevitable. I think it's incredibly cool because when we look back in history books and you see all the different stories and the major players, they never really knew one another. They all worked separately, and there's a major question of who would you want to have dinner with? What major person would you want to have dinner with? And you made that happen. You made those dinners happen with all of the major players that are still alive and available today, and you continue to do that. And it's very rare, very, very cool.
While you were going through your first year at Pepperdine, did the name Jackson appear, and did it mean anything to you?
Oh yeah, I have attended events at the Robert H. Jackson Center from the time I was little. Anytime we did field trips to some of the events of some authors reading their books, like the Jerry Spinelli event. I would think I was there, and the dedication. We took a field trip there and watched it. So I had been aware of the Jackson Center, and one of my deans, Dean Goodnow, she said it's her absolute favorite Supreme Court justice. And I was like, I'm from there. I don't think I told her, but I told the person sitting next to me, yeah, it's from my hometown. And of course the Youngstown 3-part rule that he is now famous for. So I learned that, and I constitutional law class, but there's actually quite a few of my professors have said that he is one of their most revered Supreme Court justices, which is really cool.
So you, in your project, have compiled at least 7, maybe soon to be 8 separate catalogs. One generally for all of the programs, and then some with some specific young readers, and Jackson and Warren, Jackson at Chautauqua, those type of projects. Compiled by Brielle Edborg at pepperdine.edu. What do you suspect the reaction might be to your professors when you say, hey, when you have to respond to the question, what'd you do this summer?
I mean, it's an unexpected thing because there's not many centers like this throughout the United States that commemorate a Supreme Court justice, and definitely Jackson is the only one that has, was the chief prosecutor of the Nuremberg trials. He's probably one of the most, if not the most famous Supreme Court justice. So doing a project like this is not the typical legal internship, I guess, but it's really cool and almost, it's more historically driven, and I get to learn, it's almost like a class in itself. I learn all the history of everything that he's done. So I basically took the Robert H. Jackson history law class this summer.
We haven't not discussed this, but I'll do it on camera. As you complete this tomorrow, are you likely to sort of do a paper, or not paper, that's probably too broad, but some sort of reflection on what you learned about your native son, Robert Jackson, since I know you enjoy history and you enjoy writing?
Yeah, actually, not formally for like a class, but there's some scholarships that I've been applying for that call for something along those lines. So I've definitely been starting to wrap my brain around that.
That was a loaded question. So as you kind of draw closure here, is there any final comments, reflections on summer 2020, unexpectedly in Jamestown area?
Yeah, unexpected, but very grateful. And everything that I've done and that you've done has probably led to a deeper and a more rich experience than I otherwise would have had. And even though it's not the area of law that I'm likely to go in, it kind of like lends itself to a well-roundedness that I think I otherwise wouldn't have had. And I love history, and I love learning about the area I grew up in, well, any area, but the area I grew up in especially. And it's been way more fun than I think another type of internship would have been, because I genuinely have loved learning about everything.
Well, on behalf of the center, it's been a bonus, a very much of a surprise, added value to our center and what we will showcase as our 20th anniversary. And we know you have not said no to helping us in the future.
I absolutely will help you in the future.
Thank you.